Hello and welcome to Declutter Your Life. I am Esley Wright, holistic interior designer and feng shui specialist, and I am excited to be sharing with you a little bit of information that I have gathered over the many years that I have been working as a designer and as a feng shui specialist. And as an interior designer, it is all about stuff, and I'm going to share with you some information that is going to be very interesting for you, I think, because it was very interesting for me. The question is your stuff hurting you? And if it is, what is it that you can do to fix that? There's a lot of information out there today that is about clutter, and clutter being bad. And I'm going to share with you some interesting information that is going to prove to you that yes, indeed, it is actually hurting you. But before that, let me share with you just a little bit about who I am. And thank you so much for actually joining me today to hear about this very, very important topic. Again, I'm S. Lee Wright. I have been a holistic interior designer my entire life. And that is that a holistic approach to creating spaces that are mindfully designed and done in such a way that are healthy. And in the Western world, we don't always think about spaces being healthy. We're a little bit more focused on them being pretty. So that is one of the things that I am going to bust that myth and say that a pretty space is not what you want to be focusing on. You want to be focusing on a space that is functional first, and pretty will follow. So I've been doing design in a multitude of different arenas for about 30 years, and I have learned a lot in that time of 3 decades. I've done corporate design as well as residential design, hospitality, and institutional. And I feel that in 30 years, even if I'm not the best of the best, I have gained a little bit of wisdom. I have seen literally hundreds and hundreds of projects. I've been inside intimately people's homes and helped them sort through their stuff. And so I have a little bit to say about what's going on this topic. Because as I mentioned, as an interior designer, our job is about stuff, right? Normally, a classic interior designer is about helping you get better stuff. My focus as a holistic interior designer is about making sure that the stuff you have is serving you. So I'm also a qualified interior architect. I have all of the degrees and I have a license in interior design. But I added to that the Eastern modality of feng shui. I studied with a grand master and learned the BTB, Black Sect feng shui version of feng shui, that is a school that is about bringing this classic Eastern philosophy of mindfully arranging your space to serve you in a Western way. And so I incorporate that with my interior design techniques. So hopefully, with all of this experience and wisdom that I have gained, that you will feel that some of the things that I'm sharing with you today have some value. But what I'm going to share with you today is really about what is clutter? What is it? What does that really mean? Why do you even care? What does that matter to you? And how you can manage it going forward. So we're going to deal with what, why, and how. So what is clutter? Clutter has gotten a really bad rap. Marie Kondo has built a fortune on top of the idea that we have too much stuff going on. And that is an interesting way of building it. And I often say that our clutter is not evil. It's not bad. It's just our stuff that's possibly gotten a little bit out of balance. But let me go into a little bit more detail. We, in the Western world at least, I'm talking as a Western woman, and I'm imagining a good portion of the people that are listening are in the Western world. First world country problems here. But our culture is a consumeristic culture. capitalism, right? This is a culture that definitely plays on that human instinct of wanting to get more, getting stuff, thinking about it. Retail therapy is one of the biggest things that is targeted in the marketing and the media today. You're not feeling good, go shopping. When I was a kid, dating myself here a little bit, going shopping really wasn't a hobby, right? It wasn't when I was growing up, but it definitely is a hobby today. It is definitely for the young people today. They want to go and do something on a Saturday. It's to go to the mall. It's to actually go shopping. And online shopping and technology has only made that worse. So I say that we are a culture of conspicuous consumption. We buy stuff that we don't need. So clutter is the fact that 80% of the stuff you have, you don't use. That's a pretty scary statistic, right? But it is our culture. So you don't need to feel super guilty or bad or ashamed of that. You have to recognize that you didn't really have a choice. A lot of these things are subconsciously built into our minds. And so you have to pull to your conscious mind that you need to go a little bit against what's the norm. Walk to the beat of your own drummer. Don't do what everybody else is doing. But recognize that our culture is the one that has actually, ironically, created this problem for us by insisting that having more stuff is going to make you happier. Completely contrary to my career, my chosen career, stuff does not make you happier. The way you arrange your stuff, repurpose, reuse, and look at what you've got is what brings true joy. And let me also just say for the record, I am a big fan of Marie Kondo's way of looking at her stuff for the most part, and I will refer to that throughout this. But the clutter thing that happens in our life, having too much stuff, it equates to lost time. Another really scary statistic is that you, the average American, this is a statistic, will lose at least 1 year of your life looking for lost stuff. You lose your keys, you lose your glasses, you lose that valuable piece of paper that you really need to get something done. You will spend hours and hours actually looking for lost stuff. That is really a waste of the precious, valuable thing that we've got, one commodity of time, limited time in our life. So losing time unnecessarily, to me, is a sacrilege. It is something that we really need to try to avoid because time is such a precious gift. And we need to make darn sure that we are not losing it, digging through those papers, looking for that one scrap of paper that we actually needed to have. There are lots of ways that we lose time, but this is one that you have control over. The second thing that clutter really does that is not good for you is it causes huge amounts of stress, looking for that lost piece. But more than that, just when you are in a space that is disorganized. And this is definitely something I see as an interior designer, and why so many of my clients actually come to me is their space creates a kind of negative vibration for them. It is incredibly stressful. And I'm going to tell you, stress is now being recognized in the modern medical world as a killer. It does horrible things to your body, and especially over extended periods of time. So the exterior and the interior are intrinsically woven together. That is feng shui, interior design, but also common sense. I'm sure most of you know when you walk into a space that is disheveled and not feeling very good, you don't feel good either. So there is a direct correlation, bringing those stress hormones up, keeping them peaked at a level that does not allow you to operate at a good level. They call it the clutter effect in the medical terms right now, in psychology and the medical world that are more holistically approached. And that actually really does cause your body to go into a state of unhealthy stress levels. This chaos can create a long term problem. They talk about how that chaos creates visual disorientation. It lowers your sensory of pleasure. That is really horrible. These are not things that you have actual control over when your body is going into that automatic sensory overload. Too much chaos. Your mind can't logically go into a different place. It's like having a panic attack on a little bit of a lower level. Though, of course, chaotic spaces like the one here absolutely can cause an incredible problem of having a panic attack and sending you into a place that doesn't allow you to do the things that are important in your life. So, those are some very key reasons why having too much stuff is a problem, right? That's all the things that it actually creates in your life. So, why having too much stuff doesn't matter? Because, first of all, as a sustainability advocate, I'm going to tell you buying too much stuff is not the answer. Doesn't bring you more joy. Maybe in the temporary quick fix, it does, right? And I am not an anti-buying things, right? But I am conscious about what it is that we need to be buying because the way that we're going right now, people, is not sustainable. And what I mean about that is sustainability. The definition is, can we do this over the long term without it causing any harm? The answer is right now and pretty obvious. I've been tooting this horn for a very long time. The way that we are doing things is harming the planet. We are not in equilibrium. We are buying too much stuff, and we are definitely buying too much stuff, one that we don't need. Remember that statistic that I just said? 80% of the stuff that we have, we don't use. Holy moly, right? All of that stuff is being produced. It takes energy to create it. We are taking valuable resources from the planet, but often a lot of that stuff is made in a way that is actually killing our planet and that will never ever go away, right? Plastic does not disappear, people. Anything that has plastic, bad, right? I recognize that it was like the Yahoo wonderful creation in the 1950s, but we are now in the 2020s, and we really need to recognize and update that. Why is having too much stuff bad for you? Is because we're actually hurting the planet, both in purchasing it, because we have the purchase power. We can actually stop buying things, and then the world is going to actually have to accommodate that. I can vouch for that as an interior designer. We have started to change the market just from our buying habits. The second reason why this matters to you, I'm sure you already get it, but balance is the key to happiness. That's both in nature as well as in us, right? If we do not have a balanced life, we are unhappy. It's just the way we are built. So if things are not in balance, then you're going to be in imbalance. And that is something that we want to avoid at all costs because that will negatively impact your health. And, they say that, time is incredibly precious, but our health even more so, right? The quality of your life depends on the quality of your health. So, clutter is incredibly damaging to your health. It raises those stress hormones, it creates visual disorientation, it lowers the sensory of pleasure, which therefore gets you into a cycle that starts to actually negatively impact the body. And someone said this to me recently when I was talking about taking care of myself and how even I sometimes forget how important it is for self care. and self-love and need to be reminded. And she said to me, "You need to take care of yourself for the people who love you." Oof. You need to get your health in order and stay as healthy as possible for all the people in your life that love you and depend on you. If you can't pull this reason for doing the decluttering and getting your house in order and your health in better shape, do it for the people who love you. Your sleep is incredibly essential to your overall health, right? Incredibly, incredibly important. I don't think in the Western world we have acknowledged that enough. We live in incredibly loud, noisy places. It is something that I'm going to talk about at the Pajamas and Pearls of Wisdom's evening about the importance of getting good sleep and how you can feng shui your bedroom. Because if you don't have good sleep, you do not rejuvenate your body, and ultimately chronic sleep deprivation causes depression and also causes long-term health problems. So having clutter actually clutters you here, and anytime your brain is cluttered, you do not get good sleep. This is why having too much stuff is bad. Creating a beautiful bedroom environment, which we often try to do for our children, but we often put too much stuff in our kids' spaces too, right? We need to make sure that our bedrooms are sacred spaces, really, really dedicated to getting the best sleep possible to balance our bodies and keep us in good health. And one really important thing, it always hits when it hurts, your pocketbook, right? Too much stuff is like throwing money up in the air as if you didn't care. Money is energy. It's the exchange that we use in the capitalistic world in which we live in. And so it's important. There's a lot of feelings of lack in the world, which is getting a little bit worse with technology, how we can always really compare ourselves with the Joneses. But with too much stuff, that is the number one waste of money, is buying things that you don't have. 80% of the stuff you don't use. Now, maybe that statistic, which statistics are just averages, right? Maybe you do use most of your stuff, but our life evolves and our spaces evolve with us. So if you're not using those things, maybe it's time to think about what to do. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the how. But know that one of the reasons why decluttering is changing the way you see things is to also stop the outflow of money and the waste of money on stuff. An example, when I moved to Spain 8 years ago to change my life, to change my space, I got rid of almost all of my stuff. I would say I got rid of 2/3 of my stuff, maybe even 3/4 of all of my stuff. And then when I moved to Spain, I moved into a furnished apartment. And I incredibly reduced my spending on stuff. I can't tell you how easy it was for me to manage my finances at that point. And I allowed myself to do that for a period of time to actually start to really hone in what was important for me. What stuff did I need to have? And I did that for years, 7 years, before I allowed myself to move into a space and start to procure the things that I actually wanted that meant something to me for my long-term happiness. But one of the reasons why clutter is a problem is because of that retail therapy. We're wasting money in areas and things that we don't necessarily need to. Stuff does not make you happy. Clutter isn't just the stuff in your closet. It's anything that gets in between you and the life you want to be living. And that comes from a holistic design visual standpoint. You have to think about what it is that you need inside your heart to make you happy. So clutter isn't just stuff. It's anything, right? You've got to think about that. That's pretty wise words from Peter Walsh. So we know that clutter's out there. We know it's part of our culture. We know it's built into our society, and that we have to bring it to our consciousness in order to change it. We know that it's bad for our health. It creates imbalance, chaos, stress levels. We know that not having good health is going to make us sicker, make us have a shorter lifespan, and the quality of our life while we are here is going to be diminished. So, all lots of accolades, lots of reasons that we know and hear all the time. Oh my gosh, clutter is bad. Clutter is bad. It's really about how to fix that problem, right? So, the first thing I'm going to say, and we say this is easy, but it isn't, because you have to be really honest. If you've decided to make this jump into, I am no longer going to have a chaotic, cluttered space, the first thing you need to do is take off those rose colored glasses and you have to review your space honestly. And that actually means you have to look at it. I have some clients that tell me that their space, oh, I'm so sorry, Lee, my space is really cluttered and it's really horrible. And I'm like, wow, what kind of negative glasses are you looking at? Because your space is not cluttered. So when I say review it, you have to review it honestly, because thinking your space is really cluttered when it isn't is just as bad as having a really cluttered space and thinking that it is clean, right? So there's two ends to that spectrum that you have to be very careful. So the first thing you want to do is to be an honest review of you and your space, right? So you look at things and you think, okay, how is this? Because there also could be an incredibly important area of your house that is the one area that gets cluttered, right? If it's just the bedroom, think about the impacts that we've talked about, how that's going to affect your sleep. Sleep and sex, that's what the bedroom's all about, people, right? So if that room's cluttered, those two things aren't going to be happening very well, right? Or if it's your kitchen or your living room or your foyer, the entrance to your house. From a feng shui perspective, it is incredibly interesting information to think about. Where is your clutter accumulating? Often it's not the entire house, right? That's something else to think about from a feng shui perspective. Where in my life am I getting blocked, right? So you really have to review all of it with an honest set of eyes. Then the next thing you need to do is make a plan. Jumping into immediate action, so many of my clients are wanting to actually buy the kitchen sink before we've even designed the kitchen. Bad idea, people. Comes to consumption, right? No, you need to make a plan. Make a plan of what you're going to do. As an interior designer, project manager, we come up with a vision, we design something, and then we build it. That is a linear process. Most things in our life work significantly better with a plan. Have a checklist of all the things that you need to do. Review honestly each room by room. This may take time. That's okay, right? We need to, if you're taking small steps in the right direction, that's all that matters. Don't rush this. If you have a plan and you can see that you're making progress, then that is going to feel good. But you definitely need to have a plan. Do not just jump into this kind of in the deep end and think that you're going to know how to swim. Have an action plan of what you need to do. And if you don't know how to do that, you need to ask for help, right? All of this is key. We operate significantly better as a community. There's a lot of help out there. There's help that you can get from your friends and your family in order to support you and to maybe even help you do this. But there's also ways to do this if you want to get DIY help. Karen Kingston is a feng shui specialist in decluttering, and she has an amazing book out there. There's also Maria Kondo, who has her great books. So there's a million things that you can buy if you feel that that would motivate you and help you to do it. The second thing is you can hire somebody to help you make a plan, or an organizer can help you go through your closet in order to figure out what's working and what not working, to create a storage system for your paper. So there are specialists that you can hire, and there are people to help you make a plan. And then you've got your community of people that can help you do it. When I had to clear out the stuff from my parents' house after my father passed away, I got my community of family to help me remove the stuff and donate it. So you just have to ask. You'd be surprised. Most people want to help you. If you have a plan and you ask them if they can help you implement the plan, most people are going to come together. We like to help. Instinctively, I believe that people want to be there for each other. So don't be afraid to ask for help on this journey of decluttering. And here is something that is my little magic secret sauce for you. I have found that sage smudging before, during, and after the process of decluttering is extremely powerful. Sage is known to actually release into the air some particles that will release and dispel all the negative energy. From a medical perspective, I believe that it says that it actually gets rid of germs and bugs and all of that kind of stuff. I have read all of that, but what I keep in my heart and I share with you is it somehow breaks apart the invisible clutter that is holding you back. It clears your energy, so it helps clear your brain. So when you're needing to release the things that you are trying to let go of, right? It helps that smooth the process. I've used this a lot with working with my clients who tend to be a little bit on the hoarding exercise, because I recognize that sometimes stuff gets a real strong hold on you and it seems almost painful to let it go. So the saging process can be a ritual for you on asking the universe or your energy or your God, source, whatever is right for you, to support you, to let the stuff go. I said earlier, our lives evolve. We evolve over time. I'm not the same person in my 50s as I was in my 40s or my 30s. So the things around me and my home needs to evolve with that. So loving something that I used to use in my 30s, for example, my skiing, I used to go skiing in another lifetime, and I haven't been skiing in almost 20 years. So releasing that stuff that I loved and have so many fond memories of, but no longer is serving me, but that can go on and live a second life with someone else who could use it in a different way. There are many ways of releasing your stuff: donating it, giving it away, regifting. I'm a big believer in regifting our stuff that we don't use, breaking that faux pas in the society that says that that's not a good thing to do. And last but not least, actually selling it on eBay or selling it on Vinted. There are a variety of different ways of doing it. Um, I have a parade going behind me, and another way of makes me think of releasing. Sage is uh, a a smell. Obviously, it's white sage. It's a dried herb. Ancient societies and cultures have been using it for years. In the Catholic Church, they used frankincense. So smell and aromatherapy is a good way of doing it. But sound is also another great way of breaking the energy if you need help releasing and letting go. If you are particularly finding it difficult, you can. I have a bell here, but any kind of music can really help you change the energy, to change your space. I have said that, you have seen in the background, clapping even works, making noise, that kind of stuff, allowing the energy and the vibration in a space to change the way that the stuff is stuck there. So if you're having a particularly difficult moment and you need some help to to change the energy in your space. I'm going to keep going with this. So I live in a beautiful small medieval town that seems to be very much in clearing their negative energy. They are incredibly musical here. And here we are on a Saturday, and they have decided that they need to be celebrating something going on. Um, so so releasing can be done with smell, it can be done with sound, it can be done with prayer. Whatever it is that you need to do, I just suggest that you actually look at releasing your energy of your stuff in a sustainable long-term way so it doesn't actually hurt the world in which we're doing, which pretty much means do not put it into landfill. And I'm going to keep on going here. I can't believe this. This is so funny that it is all about taking action. And with that, taking action is the most important part of this whole process. You can review everything. You can make an action plan. You can ask for help. You can do your rituals. But until you actually implement what you are doing, it is incredibly, incredibly invaluable, right? So the end of this is always about taking action. I've had a couple major design projects where I've actually spent a couple of years doing all of the planning, but at the end of the day, they never took action. So they're still living in the space with the design up here, but the implementation is never taking place. So I really encourage you to take that leap of faith and to trust yourself in regards to jumping, going for it, doing it. A body in motion is so much easier to stay in motion. It is hard to get yourself from a stationary position into action. We know that on all the things in our life. But trust me, I promise you, the moment you take action, things are going to start to flow so much better. And if not now, when are you going to do this? Right? Change only happens when you make a choice, a conscious choice that you want to clear the space in your life so you can change your life. When you have empty space surrounding you, good things come in. That peace, sense of peace, changed priorities, room for more joy, room for more self-love. Do not allow yourself to continually be hijacked from the life you deserve by not taking action, decluttering, removing the things that are harming both your mind, body, and spirit. If you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? So do something that your future self is going to love you for, right? This is about self-love, doing something that is incredibly empowering for yourself. And again, I'm saying, don't not shop, don't have beautiful things, but doing it with a state of consciousness and releasing the things that are no longer serving you helps bring in that flow of energy. And that includes abundance in all levels, money too. So thank you so much for being a part of this little presentation about how to declutter your life. I would love you to stay in touch with me. This is one of my passions as a holistic designer and feng shui specialist and sustainability advocate for 30 years. I love this. This is my true passion and purpose, to help people like you learn how to change your space to change your life. I write about this in my blog, which is changeyourspace.info. And I also have my website, which shows more of my interior design work, where I can help design it with you. I am a very flexible designer. I work by the hour, by the room, or by the project. I also have a package that I am willing to give this crowd, the Love Yourself Project people, a special, special deal. I would love and be honored to help you with your very own personalized feng shui home review. If you are interested, you need to reach out to me because I'm giving you a 50% discount. And that is the deal. I am incredibly, incredibly honored to be working with anybody who wants to go on this journey, who believes that they can change their space to change their life. So I am thanking you very much for being a part of this. And I look forward to hearing from you. And I'm here to help you.